And we're back. Cal and his plucky adventurers have found themselves on an old golf course here in front of a water hazard. Now hosts, instead of golfing tournaments, the ineptitude of the NCR, as it is one of their military operating bases. And apparently, they house some of their less formidable frontline forces here. So, you can only imagine, the further we get into NCR territory, how many more problems we are going to run into. Well, Boone, Veronica, I was going to tell you not to embarrass me in front of Camp Golf's director, leader, whatever their official title is. If you want to chime in on that one, Boone. But it seems that you have already done that. Although, I must ask myself if your peculiarities embarrass me more than his soldiers embarrass him. So, I feel like it's going to be a flip of a coin. Pardon the intrusion.
Back west, you don't see too many of these. Lakes, I mean. Natural or man-made. Any kind, really. We neglected the dams or pumped all the water out a long time ago. Owens, Isabella, the San Luis. Drained the aquifers of everything they had. Just
Sounds
a lot of
about right.
mud and dust now. It's a different feeling watching the sun come up over the water. Takes some getting used to. But if you're here long enough, it starts to seem normal. That's what a ranger's life is now, looking east. You must be the courier folks have been talking about. Word on the radio is that someone wronged you back in Good Springs. The Mojave has a way of burning decent people up. But it sounds like you've done right by the NCR. It's appreciated.
Yeah.
Now what can I do for you?
Well, apparently word travels fast. Mostly, is everyone in this place just sad and just sent here to live out their time until retirement? Like, what the hell? I feel like I have a pretty good handle on that. Well, we'll come back to that here in a little bit. I have a decent idea. But what's the Legion been up to?
Not too long ago, they took Nelson and Searchlight.
Okay.
They got some camps on the eastern shore of the Colorado. And a monstrosity on the hill across the lake. That's for Caesar. Some folks don't believe he's here yet, but you can tell. He's the eye of the storm. It all roils and spins around him.
Well, I can
You
confirm.
don't have to see the man to see the effect he has.
I can confirm that they are indeed here. I get constantly accosted by their assassins for helping you people. I don't know if it's so much helping you people, but killing an entire enslavement camp did sour our relations. That might have a little bit to do with it. Probably to a greater degree than helping you with your bureaucratic ineptitudes. Yeah, I'll chalk it up to that. You said Nelson and Searchlight. What's going on there?
Nelson was barely set up.
Well, there's your
We had a
problem.
big stretch of unprotected land between Forlorn Hope and Searchlight.
That's
and
an
Nelson
ominous
was the
name.
solution. A deaconess named Dead Sea took the place and caused a lot of damage.
And at Searchlight?
Searchlight was worse. One of Caesar's Frumentari must have found something in there. Flooded the whole camp with radiation.
Oh, wonderful. I can't say that that's going to be on the top of my priority list with radiation. Let's circle back to something else.
Shoot.
I suppose I should have probably opened up with the whole, who are you?
Folks around here call me the chief, but Hanlon's just fine.
Fair.
The Rangers run themselves pretty well, but I try to lend a hand.
Do they accept that
Mostly
hand?
administrative work, helping coordinate intel on the radio.
Okay.
That and keeping an eye on the fires growing across the water.
Pretty easy to do, I would imagine. I'm guessing you coordinate via those radio outposts, which, speaking of, I did find one. Chatted with the soldiers there. Left for about 15 minutes. It's probably longer than that. But came back and they were wiped out. So you should probably know about that.
It's a simple system when it works. Patrol Rangers radio intel to ranger
Key.
stations.
When it works.
Comm Rangers send the intel up the station chain until it reaches Camp Gulf. Then I or one of the other Rangers on duty organize the data, evaluate it, and send information to camps or troopers in the field.
That seems needlessly complicated with a lot of steps in there and a lot of hands in the chain, which I'd imagine slows down the dissemination of key and crucial intel. Now I understand that it has to be vetted and make sure that it's actually useful or, I guess, pertinent, and that it isn't leaking classified info, but I feel like there's probably better ways. So yeah, why don't the stations just send directly to the troops? I mean, outside of vetting and classified info stuff.
Comm Rangers might have an incomplete picture of the situation.
Fair.
There's a lot going on out there. Intel needs to be coordinated through Gulf so we can verify and advise appropriately. Troopers have enough to deal with. We don't want them questioning their intel.
Fair enough. But it also seems like a needlessly complicated solution that you prop up in order to give yourselves some sort of need to the cause.
Shoot.
I guess let's just run down the list. We were chatting about the Legion. How about Caesar in specific?
The best of the best, worst of the worst. He came out of NCR, one of the followers of the Apocalypse.
So
Like
you
a
made
lot
your
of
own
the
enemy.
followers, he went out in the wilderness with a partner to try to help those who needed helping. Not much different from how the Rangers used to be. Except with books and medicine instead of guns.
Seems noble. Where'd he end up going?
Out to the Grand Canyon. He met a missionary from Utah, a man by the name of Joshua Graham. Graham helped translate for the followers and the tribes.
Okay.
All three of them got nabbed by the Blackfoots down there, back when they were still at war with every other tribe in the Southwest.
So, I mean, all seems pretty normal and noble thus far. How did a follower of the Apocalypse, who, by all accounts that you're giving me, seems to be a pretty noble cause, end up becoming Caesar?
Somewhere along the way, he realized he needed to educate the Blackfoots or they were going to get wiped out with the rest of the tribe. Showed
Makes
them how
sense.
to use guns, how to make explosives. Once he taught the Blackfoots a thing or two, they needed him. And he no longer needed the followers, NCR, or anyone else.
Ah,
He decided he could
Yes.
remake the tribes of the Southwest whether they wanted it or not. He became Caesar, and Joshua Graham became his legate, his right hand. And that's where Graham stayed until Hoover Dam.
the classic consolidation of power and territory. Graham. That's right. You said until Hoover Dam, so he probably was like the leader of that whole campaign. What happened to him after he lost?
Losing the dam was the worst defeat the Legion ever suffered.
Fair.
Graham had been with Caesar since the beginning, but he had to set an example. The Praetorians covered Graham in pitch, lit him on fire, and down into the Grand Canyon he went.
Damn. You didn't really clearly end that. Was that the end of him?
It's not that clear cut.
Of course.
You have to understand, Graham was the toughest son of a gun anyone around these parts had ever seen.
Okay.
Before Hoover, we had 5 kill reports on Graham from Rangers and 1st Recon sharpshooters who tried to take him out.
Oh, Boone, your
Some folks
buddies
think he's
failed.
still alive. Call him the Burned Man.
Interesting. So I assume that Blackfoots are part of the Legion. They probably don't have that moniker anymore, or any semblance of what the Blackfoot clan used to be, but I'd assume they're part of the conglomerate.
Yes and no. The Blackfoots don't exist anymore, just like any other tribe that gets swallowed by the Legion. Caesar takes the tribal out of the tribe. Scrapes and burns off tattoos, breaks up families, forces mixed breeding so all the old loyalties die away. The only tribe in the Legion is the Legion. Caesar is their chief, father, and god, all rolled into one.
I mean, if you want to consolidate power, forcing that kind of stuff makes sense. Bit extreme. But I guess that tracks for the kind of guy you've been describing.
Shoot.
And I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on how your organization is doing, and it is not great.
It's no secret we've had better campaigns. Holding this whole length of river isn't easy. We're stretched thin,
Yeah.
and the long 15 just keeps getting longer. Slow to get supplies, slower to get reinforcements. NCR's Senate has got funds tied up at the Boneyard. And President Kimball ordered our most experienced rangers to chase ghosts down at Baja.
Okay. You say this boneyard thing like it's something I'm supposed to know. You want to elaborate?
Senate elections are coming up. Local representatives don't want to push any more funding to the Mojave campaign because it's unpopular. Most of the folks around the Boneyard haven't been to New Vegas and probably never will. All they know is that their money gets sucked away to this desert and their brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters die here.
I mean, those seem like fair and legitimate reasons to criticize this campaign and not want to fund it. So I can understand their side. And this Baja incident, or lack thereof, as you seem to imply.
It's complicated. Goes way back. I told President Kimball that we need more rangers here. He accepted that,
here,
but took
not
the most
there.
experienced ones and sent them south. Patrol rangers are good men and women, but we're about to fight a war.
That answered absolutely nothing. And I've seen your troopers. They are, how shall we say, not the cream of the crop, let's say.
You've seen it yourself. Some of them don't even have proper service rifles or armor.
It's a little bit more
heavy
than that.
infantry, power armor units, they're back in NCR territory protecting the interests of Brahmin barons against small-time raiders. Brahmin barons only have
Yep.
one vote at the ballot box, but they have a lot of money to throw around.
Cool. Well, that just further solidifies that you're kind of screwed.
Shoot.
Let's hope someone could maybe step in and lend a hand for just an appropriate compensation. And you're getting the rookie rangers, you were saying?
I could tell you a lot if you had the time, but at my age, I'm not sure which of us would get tired first. What do you want to know?
I'll probably get bored before I get tired, but I'm here already. What is their purpose here?
Well, there's what we're supposed to be doing and what we're actually doing. There's a big gap between those two things. About as wide as that lake out there.
So not a lot, is what you're saying. So why are they here then?
There's a lot of answers to that question, but it started with the Ranger Unification Treaty. We weren't always the only show in town. Nevada had its own posse, the Desert Rangers. They fought Caesar even farther east, out in Arizona. Years back, we met with the Desert Rangers at Mojave Outpost and agreed to help them against Caesar if they would join the NCR.
Okay. Well, I guess before we part our ways, any fun stories to share?
Suppose it depends on what you think's good. Most folks want to hear about Hoover Dam and Boulder City, but it's a long story. If you want some tall tales about hunting down slavers or busting up gangs, talk to one of the younger Rangers.
I mean, I have a pretty good picture of the whole dam and Boulder City stuff, but I guess, what's your view?
In big battles, Caesar deploys his legionaries in waves. Recruits up front, prime soldiers behind the recruits, old guard bringing up the rear. Opponents wear themselves out dealing with the first two waves, if they survive that long. When the veterans step up, there's not much fight left. Caesar can adapt, though, and when required, he can run any mix of legionaries as skirmishers and still retain order in the ranks.
Go on.
Joshua Graham, Caesar's old legate, he wasn't so flexible. When the Legion attacked Hoover Dam, General Oliver ordered his troopers back to the middle ground just after first contact. Graham pushed all of the legionaries onto the dam, filling the east side with recruits up front and veterans in the back, by the book.
And then...
But once they were in, they were stuck there. Oliver's troopers were entrenched and wouldn't give a foot. That's when we ordered the Rangers and the 1st Recon Sharpshooters to start picking off veteran Legion officers from a high ridge west of the dam. That only lasted about a minute before Graham ordered the back ranks to push through to the front and rush the ridge.
Right. Where comes the part where you cede the dam and go to Boulder City?
Caused total chaos among the younger legionaries. Oliver's troopers fell back to the side walkways and stayed out of the veterans' way. By the time the veterans got to the ridge, we were already in Boulder City. They followed us down there, but we were out before they realized what was happening.
And then, boom.
We'd packed the old city with C4 and dynamite. Crude, but it did the job.
Yeah, can't argue with results.
Those who didn't die in the blast were in no position to mount a defense. The ones left on the dam didn't know what to do. The troopers routed them. Graham pulled the remaining legionaries back, but the battle was over. He went south, back to the Grand Canyon, back to Caesar. And that was the last we saw or heard from Joshua Graham.
Nice talking with you, Chief. I'm sure we will probably chat again at some point.
Adios.
My goodness. I mean, all things considered, he seems like he's a decent enough guy. A little long-winded, but there's worse things. Okay. Well, this was a sizable enough distraction that I believe we should put behind ourselves for the time being. I have a feeling we'll have to come back here at some point. Do you know this chief guy?
What is it?
Just curious. Do you know anything about that chief?
If you want. It's not really my thing. What do you want to know?
How you doing about the whole, wife situation?
Carla's dead. That's all you need to know.
Cool. Still keeping it close to the chest. Fair enough.
Yeah.
How about you, Veronica? What are your impressions on the good old
What's
chief?
up?
Let's chat.
Ooh, do I get a prize if I answer right?
Maybe. What are your thoughts on the whole NCR and the chief?
I'm worried they'll be the death of the Brotherhood. They take what they want. We defend our interests to the death. But there's a handful of us and tens or hundreds of thousands of them. So it's not going to end well. Last time we clashed, we lost a lot of people. Retreated to our bunker. Now we're afraid to even move around during the day.
Interesting. How about the Legion?
I was told we wouldn't be tested on this.
Yeah, I don't have time or energy to test you on stuff. How about the Legion, though?
Silliest dressed band of raping, slaving marauders you'll see east of California. I'll say that. Where's that touch of old world class? Although, I hear the soldiers mount each other as much as they mount their women, so maybe they did keep a little something from the Empire. No such privilege for the women, though. Figures. So, to answer your question, they're a bunch of hypocritical jerkwads. It's a word.
I wasn't gonna judge it. That works for me.
See you around.
I mean, you're still coming with me. Yeah, no, it's, unmitigated trash fire. The likes of which the poorest homeless man in Vegas would love to see to heat himself on. Is that a weird metaphor? Probably. But here we are. Here we go. Well, let's try not to get boots wet. There we go. We have successfully navigated bureaucracy and maintained our dry boots. All in all, I would say that is a win.